Hello, my beautiful people. I'm back. This is Lena. Thank you for standing with me again for another video on the 4th of July. I got 2 videos out. I am very excited. This is the first time I've actually been able to record 2 videos. Just to give you an idea, I'm recording on my Android phone, and then I'm uploading it up to my editing software, and then I'm uploading it up to YouTube, and oh my God, does it take a long time. Between the editing, uploading, sometimes this video, especially because I'm new to this and I'm kind of learning how to do editing, and just the uploading time takes a little bit, so I want to pump out more videos per day. But unfortunately right now it seems to be I could probably do 3 because it does take a long time to actually do all this. So to all my new viewers, thank you. My name is Lena. And to my returning viewers, welcome back. I want to thank everyone who's been viewing, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you. This has been a very interesting journey, and I'm very happy to take it. I want to do this as organically as possible. So I want to see how far I can get to the point where I can get to 1,000 subscribers. I am 29 now subscribers, and yeah, like I said once before, by the time I get to 1,000, if I keep doing it this way, I might hit it by the end of the year. Okay, so let's get into what I've been doing the last couple of videos, which is watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I've done 2 videos already trying to get an overall sense of what this series is truly about. And now I want to get into the actual episodes. So I'm going to start with the last one that just aired, which is the 2nd season, 3rd video, which is called Tomorrow. Did you think I was not going to sing? I saved it for this one. I didn't sing my welcome back intro. You weren't going to get away with it that fast. So tomorrow. I've watched this 4 times in the last 3 days, trying to not write a script about it and go on camera and try to just speak what, I've been watching. And I've also watched it with a friend who never watched Star Trek, and she said, okay, let's take a gander at this. And I was like, okay, let's start with this one, only because it was already running. So tomorrow. So let's start off with La'an Noonien Singh. I want to start off with the opening sequence, which is the intro, and I'm going to say this for this specific show. It's beautiful. They did it so well. The music is so beautiful. Even if I don't like some of the episodes, I like to listen to the music. And then when they have that last, sequence of music where it's the original Star Trek music, but done remastered really well. I have to tell you, it's one of the most beautiful opening scenes I've seen in the Star Trek throughout all of the other series, and it's really gorgeous. So we start off with La'an Noonien Singh, and she's the head of security from my understanding. So she's going about her day of what a security officer would normally do. And it's okay, because as people, no matter what, there are days that you have some things that are exciting and some things that are not. So I really resonated with that. She went around the ship and she's going to talk to different people. And one of them, of course, is Spock. And she tells him that his music playing on his Vulcan, I want to say flute or lute, I'm not sure, it's too loud, and people have been complaining. And he does his little, inquiry and asks who was the person that was complaining, and she says it was anonymous. I sense that she was the one that was doing the complaining, but maybe legitimately other people were. And then he does this weird thing where he turns around and then he walks back in his room. And it's the way he turns around and walks back. And this is me being nitpicky. He does that robotic movement again, like an android. And it kind of throws me out of the scene. His door closes. She goes and she speaks to the new engineer, who's played by Carol Kane. And Carol Kane has been around the world, has been living for a very long time, almost like a Guinan from Star Trek Next Generation character. And she has a bunch of artifacts that she's collected over the course of her many, many lifespans. So, someone's complaining that, she stole it, and she's saying, she's going back and forth with La'an, saying that she never stole any of the stuff. She used to work in the archaeological department, and she's collected these things over the course of her many, many lifespans, blah, blah, blah. Very quiet banter, but as the show goes on, you realize why this is an important scene. She references where she used to be in the time of the early 20th century, which is Vermont. There's a lot of references there. I didn't catch it the first time until I watched it the first time, and then I said, oh, okay, now this makes sense. So La'an is frustrated. She's bored. Okay, sure. So she goes to Dr. Umbenga, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And, I really like this character, and I realized one of the reasons why I like him is his voice. He has a very, very calming, raspy voice that I haven't heard in an actor in a long time. And I love the way it sounds, and it's really nice. And he has a quiet strength about him as far as physical and mental and the way that he reacts to things. He's one of the best docs in the entire series. Other than Bones McCoy, who was more emotional. He's more of this, Dr. Umbenga is more of a mentor. So they go into this sparring match. She's trying to get out her frustrations because she's a tough gal. She's frustrated. She doesn't want to take medication. She doesn't want to rest, blah, blah, blah. Okay, got it. They fight. It's a good fight. I think Umbenga kicks her butt. Then all of a sudden she leaves the sparring room. And here's where questions start to arise between myself and the person that's watching it with me. She's the head of security. So she's coming out into the corridor, and all of a sudden you see this man phase into the corridor in a leisure suit. You could tell this is like, maybe our generational suit, blue suit. And he has a big blood stain on the side of his body, and her first reaction is, what the hell are you doing here? I'm not sure if those are the exact words, but that was the gist of it. Now, I don't know, but I feel like anyone who's head of security would have, I don't know, a phaser, something protective to address people that are coming on board, especially when you're transporting yourself through a wall. Like, I don't know if this is a character thing with her, that she doesn't carry phasers because she thinks she can kick everybody's butt. But it's like kind of weird, because it's like, you're head of security. Shouldn't you have something wrapped around your waist so you can, I don't know, stun them? Okay. He falls down. She goes over to him and automatically is able to ascertain that he was hit by a bullet wound, not a phaser. How? No clue. I guess this is all part of the training in that Starfleet Academy, where you get to understand the different variations of wounds. Again, no background, no context, nothing, nada, none of them thing. He hands over to her a device, and he tells her that, the time has changed. Something changed in the past. I immediately knew that he was a temporal time agent, again, because of Star Trek Enterprise, and that was a big running theme in the show. He hands her the device and tells her to go to the bridge, and then he dies. Then this big swoosh of light hits the corridor, and she runs to the bridge, and lo and behold, the doors whoosh open, and who do you think is in the captain's chair? Captain Kirk. He is the captain of that now different timeline, changing of the temporal time zone. And I go back to what I said. He turns around and asks her, ma'am, who are you, and what are you doing on my ship? There are no security guards. There's no reaction from anybody else on the bridge. I don't know. I feel like if this was a bridge, a ship, people will try to stop her. Why is no one getting up automatically questioning and trying to hold her or trying to like detain her. And he just turns around as a captain. Oh, well, you know, you're in a Starfleet uniform. I don't know who you are, but let's go back to the screen. Okay. She could have shot you in the head, but sure. Let's go with that. Again, no kind of real reaction that I'm accustomed to, you know, when someone is breaking and entering. So Captain Kirk turns on the view screen and it's Spock on the other side of the view screen, and he's a captain of a Vulcan ship. Again, here we go with the freaking timelines. So this show is in a different timeline, and now we have a different timeline in the timeline that's different from the original series. Did you follow me? Good, because I didn't. Okay. Spock is pleading with Kirk, saying that he's going to be destroyed by the Romulans because they're at war, and apparently, you know, Kirk could not give a furry rat's behind and says, okay, dude, check it out. I got my own problems, and I can't handle you right now. You need to go figure out your own stuff. Okay, bye. Okay. So La'an tells Kirk, I need to speak to you in your ready room. Again, no security guards. No one's questioning who this chick is. She never answered anything, and up goes the captain of the ship, and goes into his ready room with her. Complete stranger. Okay. They back and forth speaking, and she explains to him, this is a different timeline. I got this gadget from this person that, you know, was in my time. And Kirk is like, either you're nuts or this is true. There's no gray area. Still don't know who you are. She says that I am La'an, and, you know, she says Starfleet, and he's like, I don't know what Starfleet is. This is not Starfleet. This is some other name I can't even remember. And I'm like, oh, okay. So apparently in his timeline, the Vulcans and the First Contact and the whole meshing of the utopia of learning how to be, you know, Starfleet and all that never happened. They do have Vulcans, they do have Romulans, but everybody's at war. And Earth apparently had to figure out for themselves how to survive everything on their own and stay out of everybody's business. Okay. Kirk wants to take this gadget away from her, so he tries to grab it, and they're both thrusted into the 20th century. I don't know. I do know that it's not on the ship, and immediately the first reaction is, well, the third reaction, because after Kirk realizes that he's not on the ship anymore, he's like, I need to get back on the ship, and this little gadget thingy is not going to do it. Okay. So now they're in the middle of what really does look like New York, Rockefeller Center. And I'm from New York, so I kind of thought that it's what it was trying to be. But obviously, La'an corrects Kirk and explains to him that this is Canada. Okay? Looks like Rockefeller Center, but it's Canada. Okay. So now Kirk is like, I've never been to Earth. And she just stops and says, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm paraphrasing because that's not what she exactly says, but that's the gist of it. And he says that he was born on a starship, the Iowa, which, if you know anything about Kirk, he was born in Iowa on Earth. Great, beautiful little thread connection. So now they realize that A, it's Canada, B, it's freezing, 3, it's snowing, 4, they need to get clothes. So they go into this department store, and Kirk cannot figure out how to get through the revolving door, which is believable, because if you know anything about the Star Trek history, all the doors are automatic. They just open and close, you know, when you just breathe on it. So he's struggling to get through a revolving door. She makes a joke about it. He mentions again, hey, I've never done this before. Okay. They go into the dressing room to try on the clothes that they've picked out, and they both come out of the dressing room wearing almost the same exact jacket, shirt, and pant. Hilarious. They both have this leather jacket fetish thingy going, and they both look kind of cool, actually. Kirk goes back to change because he doesn't want to look like La'an. La'an tries not to sneak a peek at him changing, and then I automatically realize, oh God, this is going to be a romance thing between them. Okay. They forget, of course, that this is the 20th century. Now, one of the questions that was brought up to me by my friend was like, what year are they in? I'm like, you know what? I have no idea. And she says, well, wouldn't they want to know exactly what year they're in? Shouldn't they be picking up, I don't know, a newspaper, an internet, or something to figure out, or ask somebody, hey, what year this is? We never know. We just know that it's the 20th century for all intents and purposes. So they come out of the dressing room. They realize they need to pay for the clothing because there's now money being used in this current century, which is not done in any of the Star Treks because they've done away with that. And La'an automatically realizes that there's a security guard, and if she places an item in someone else's bag, the machine is going to go off. How she knows this? No clue. Apparently, again, this must be all taught in the Starfleet Academy that we don't really know about. Smart girl. She throws it into someone's bag, the machine goes off, and the security guard doesn't pay attention to the two of them, and they walk out with the clothing. Okay. Happens in every scenario, never. So now they're walking around thinking about they need to get cash. Oh, I had to sneeze, sorry. So they walk around talking about they need to find money. Okay. So in this midst of trying to find money, they are, Kirk finds a chess table in the middle of the park, and that's very common. Yeah, it happened. It's a lot in a lot of places. I know that in some places people don't know that and see that, but when you go to like parks and stuff like that, they do have chess tables. People just randomly go in and play chess with each other. So if you know anything about him, you know that he's a phenomenal chess player, 3D chess, and he goes and he hustles everybody for money during this chess games that he's playing with numerous people, and you see money piling up, but it doesn't seem like significant. Like it looks good. I don't know what the currency exchange is at that point, but sure. He gets the money and they walk around to get a hot dog. Apparently hot dogs are still a thing in the 24th century because he automatically knows what it is. He purchased it. Okay, simple little monetary exchange. He forces La'an to eat the hot dog, and now they need to find a place to sleep. And here's what I want to know. They go to a hotel palace suite. How much freaking money did this guy make doing chess? Because let me tell you something. I'm gonna learn how to play chess right now. The hell with YouTube, the hell with my job. I'm gonna go play chess and hustle people in Central Park. This suite is literally a palace, and I'm like, how'd you pay for that? Do you have anything left over? They spend the night. There's this weird scene where each one of them get up in the middle of the night, and you think that something's going to happen between them because, La'an goes over to Kirk's area of sleeping, and then she changes her mind. She goes back into her bed, and he gets up, and he knows that she was there, and okay, nothing happens. Nothing transpires. Okay, sexual tension 101. Next morning, they're talking about how the hell they're gonna figure out how to get back. Kirk doesn't really want to go back. He wants to deal with the real showers and the bar that's in the damn palace. And a little back and forth goes on, and she explains to him that he is in her timeline and his brother is alive, because apparently in this timeline that he's from, his brother is dead. And she tries to explain to him that the utopia way that they have in their current Earth is different than the way that he has in his timeline. Okay. Still don't know what year this is. Now we go into the scenario of something blowing up, because they're overlooking in this hotel palace the entire country of Canada. It's a beautiful view. Something blows up. They both look at the window and they see this thing blow up, and they see it's a bridge, and they're like, okay, we need to go to the bridge. Which is exactly the line that the temporal agent told La'an to do when he gave her the gadget. Got it. They run out and they meet this camera girl who's taking pictures, and they want to see the pictures in a much closer view because they feel that they've seen something. Okay. Out of all the people in the world, she's the only camera person. Convenient plot writing. Because I already know where this is going. I didn't have to watch it 4 times. I already knew something was up with this girl. she shows them the picture. They notice something, and they know that they have to figure out a way how to resolve this. So they give her back the camera, and they need to hijack or carjack a vehicle. They find the vehicle. Kirk gets in the car, driver's seat. He looks at the keys. He can't figure out the keys. Then all of a sudden, he figures out how to turn on the car. Gets in, tries to drive back and forth, and he crashes. You know, he's not getting out. He's not grasping the driving yet. Then all of a sudden, I swear to God, Dominic Toretto style driving from Fast and the Furious must be in the training manuals of every Starfleet Academy training. Because this boy, Kirk, jetted out of the parking space. He's going around and he's like, you know, Fast and the Furious. I'm so glad that that series lasted all the way to the 24th century or whatever century this is. All about family, Dom. You should be happy. Your driving style has survived. Okay? I don't know how this happened. I just know that my friend was laughing, and she's like, what, so you don't need like any kind of driving skills? I'm like, I don't know. I'm assuming that this is just part of, you know, what they learned to do. Must have been watching some of the Fast X's, and must be, maybe Fast and Furious is still alive out there. Maybe they're doing Fast, and what would be Fast and Furious 5 billion at that point. So they get stopped by the police. The police say that they're going to arrest him. He doesn't have insurance. He doesn't have a license. He doesn't have ID. He doesn't have anything. He's talking that I have my ID, my other pair of pants. And all of a sudden, camera girl conveniently shows up again and has a cell phone, and she's claiming to record this unauthorized arrest of Kirk being this, I don't know, some important person she made up, and she's rambling, and the police are like, this is not unauthorized, and she's trying to put them on blast. And I'm like, okay, so this is somewhat current, okay, because there's cell phones. There you go, cell phones. Okay, so now the cops get a call about the explosion, and then they have to leave, and they leave Kirk with a warning. Said no cop ever. Because I don't care which cop in which state, if you're driving without a license, without anything, someone is going to stay to arrest your butt. Plot convenience. He doesn't get arrested. They go over to the camera girl. They realize that she is somewhat of a kook and a conspiracy theorist about the issue with what was exploding and the pictures she has of the ship, and realizes that, you know, something's off. But then Kirk realizes that that's not something off, that's a Romulan ship. And at this point, I'm like, okay, sure. So here's the gist of what is going on. They need to figure out a way how to fix this timeline. So they end up going to Vermont, because Carol Kane's character at that timeline was working at the Archaeological Society in Vermont. They take a taxi, 4 cabs, and a bus, or something like that. Again, the distance from Canada to Vermont is not $20. So I go back to ask, how do I get chess lessons, and who do I need to scam? Because I want to know this. They find her. She claims that she is not an engineer. Never was, never will, never want to be. Conveniently, they figure out a way to resolve the issue that they need to resolve in order to resolve the issue they needed to resolve in the first place, because they're figuring out what's going on. They leave. They go to this, I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I don't know where it is. I'm presuming is where they were originally in Canada. So let's presume it's back in Canada. So that's another taxi, bus, taxi, $400, $500 trip. They go to this area where it's for genetic testing. I'm going to say testing, but I don't think that's the correct word. At the end of the day, it's where they're holding, wait for it, Khan, Noonien Singh, which is the great-great-grandfather of La'an. So they get to this area where it's supposed to be secure. Conveniently, she can enter it because she puts her hand on the wall and it scans her, and they open up, and then guess who comes in afterwards? Camera girl. This whole time she's a Romulan, she's a temporal agent or a temporal person going back at the time, trying to stop the formation of Starfleet, and she's been trying for 30 years, and she realized that they need to get this person here, Khan, who was the catalyst to the eugenic wars, which created the Starfleet premise. They were waiting for La'an because they knew that she can enter into this place. Okay. The three of them have a back and forth. Kirk dares her to shoot him. Because if she does, the entire place is going to sound the alarm, go on lockdown, blah. I have to tell you, I was surprised. She shot him. Now, I want to just go back 2 steps. There is a scene before they get to this location where La'an and Kirk kiss. It was weird. I saw it coming. He kisses her first, she kisses him back. The way she kisses him back is much more sexier than the way that he kissed her. And that was probably the first moment from the side view of Paul Wesley that I felt that I saw Kirk in some way. When they go back and he gets shot, but I was like, yeah, this makes sense, because how is she going to bring him back to any timeline? So I didn't expect that, because he was really cocky about the whole thing, and he was like, okay, shoot me, and poof, and he falls down, and as he's dying, he says, say goodbye to Sam for me, and I'm like, oh, this version of Kirk is dead. How many more versions are left now? It's like a cat of 9 lives. Okay. La'an and Camera Girl gets into a fight. Camera Girl overtakes La'an because she's a Romulan and she's much stronger. That was pretty shocking. She gets into the area, and then you see on the door, Khan. Oh, crap. I'm like, here we go. We're going to see this maniac. I didn't expect this either. Somehow La'an kills Camera Girl, and she goes to the door where it says Khan, opens the door, and it's a child. So they did it. They made Khan relatable as a child. So I'm hoping, this is what I'm hoping, that they don't leave me with the memory of Khan being a child, that they really flesh out this story somehow, some way, and make him into the crazy maniac who started the eugenic wars. The way that they did it in Star Wars when they made Darth Vader, a child, and we watched him grow into Anakin and then go into Darth Vader, and then of course he gets, reprieved. But, I don't think there's any reprieve for Khan. I think Khan just winds up being evil, at any point in time. I just was weirded out a little bit when La'an is touching him and she knows this is his great-great-grandfather and this is the one that's going to kill millions of people. It's like a very, very complex story, because I honestly don't know what I would do if I had to be faced with Hitler. I honestly don't know. I would have to see what the future would be if I didn't kill him. Because my first instinct would be like, I don't care if it's horrible. Like this, it's just very difficult, and they always do this in these kind of sci-fi scenarios. They did it at Marvel. Not even Marvel, but they just done it before. Okay. So La'an wipes the tear off the Khan's face and tells him that you're not going to understand this, and you may never understand this. And then she rumbles something, and then poof, she takes that little transporter thing, and somehow it turns red again or green or whatever the color it's supposed to be, and she's able to go back to her timeline. She goes back to her timeline. She goes into the bridge, and it's Pike. Finally, Pike. Hey, Pike, how you doing? Where you been? What you doing? Who you talking to? Who you cheating on us with? You're doing something, because you're not around. And everything is back to normal, except for the fact that she's still wearing her leather jacket and clothing, which Pike mentions, hey, why are you out of uniform? And she goes, I was just checking on something. I don't know. I would actually say in what century, because no one is wearing that, but okay. She goes back into her room, and probably this is one of my favorite moments, is when she decides that she goes to her room, she goes into her bed, she Skypes the current Kirk. What version of it? I don't know who it is. I honestly, this timeline thing is driving me crazy. Kirk goes in and says hello, doesn't know her. She asks him a question about where his brother was born, and he answers, and then he says, hey, next time I'm on ship, we can grab a drink. Okay, great, flirting. That's a Kirk move right there. She hangs up, and all of a sudden she bursts out into genuine tears. Like, I was like, oh my God, this poor girl, pobrecita, you know. And there's a bunch of stuff that happened, not a bunch of stuff. She does meet the temporal agent in her room before she decides to speak to Kirk. The temporal agent said that they sent her specifically because she had to make the hard choice. And then she gives the gadget back to the temporal agent. And I go back to what I said. Why are you giving this stuff to this chick? How do you know who she is? Like, did she show you ID? Like, is this a non-ID world? Like, how do you know you're not giving it to another maniac? Many questions, and maybe it's the paranoia in me, but I would be like, with my ears, Spock ears, Vulcan ears, all ears up, Romulan, whatever I have, like, okay, you need to do some splaining, because I want to understand, first of all, who the hell are you? Okay, so she gives her back the gadget. She speaks to Kirk. She cries on her bed, and that was when it resonated with me, her crying. That scene was so beautifully done and so genuine and so raw that was probably my favorite moment in this whole episode. Otherwise, I am still trying to get through this whole different timeline, and then when you do a timeline that's different from a timeline from a timeline from another timeline, I need to keep notes because you're losing me. I want to say it's going to get better. I have to say it's going to get better because it needs to get better. Someone needs to be listening to all this ranting and raving that's being done all over the internet. There, you know, I've watched a few YouTube people who, for the majority, don't like this series at all, and then there's maybe a few that do. I'm gonna say 80% don't, and then the remaining 20 are okay or like it. I'm gonna say 50-50. I think that it has a lot of work to do, and I hope that it stays on to do that work, and it does it well, like it did with Star Trek Next Generation, and that they're listening to the fans, and they really are taking to heart all the comments and why some people or most people don't like it, because I think that if this continues, it's gonna discontinue, and I don't want to see that happen to another Star Trek show that I think has a really promising future, unlike Discovery. I don't like that show. So that is my take on this episode. Tomorrow, I'm gonna give a overall series review from the first till up to the second season 2, and I'm going to try to upload another video today, so stay tuned. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trying to understand most of what I'm saying, because half the time I'm confused sometimes when I'm watching this show and just in general. Comment, like, subscribe below, and if you want to see more, let me know. Otherwise, happy 4th of July. Have a blessed day. Goodbye.